The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is
12 p.m.
It's Tuesday, May 21, 2024. Welcome to CVM News at Noon. I'm Nika Lewis. This just in from Andrew Holness and the Cabinet. The Cabinet met yesterday on May 20 with the Constitutional Reform Committee, the CRC, to discuss the recently submitted report containing recommendations from the 15-member body. Prime Minister Andrew Holness expressed his gratitude for the committee's contributions and highlighted the significance of this milestone. In a quote, he says, "This meeting marks a pivotal moment in our journey towards constitutional reform." He also extends deep gratitude for the dedication and hard work of the Constitutional Reform Committee. He notes, "Together, we are laying the foundation for a future where Jamaica stands as a sovereign, independent republic reflecting the will and aspirations of the people." The Jamaican people, he says, are watching, and their government will continue working to build consensus to deliver for them. Now, despite ongoing political challenges, Prime Minister Holness and his administration remains steadfast, the statement reads, in their commitment to achieving consensus on the first phase of reform, replacing the British monarch as head of state with a Jamaican president. The CRC reported that all recommendations in their report were reached through consensus. The report will be tabled as a ministry paper in Parliament today, marking the next step in this crucial process. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahou-Fort, who also chairs the CRC, says the adoption of a phased approach to constitutional reform reflects their commitment to thoughtful and inclusive change. She also notes that by engaging with all stakeholders and building consensus, the government is ensuring that the process is deliberate and reflective of the will of the Jamaican people. The statement notes that in the coming weeks, the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs will launch a public education campaign to inform the Jamaican people about the committee's recommendations. And the government says it believes that providing comprehensive information is crucial for the public to make an informed decision in the upcoming referendum.
Pleased to report that having considered the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee on the transition to the Republic of Jamaica, Cabinet has given its approval for the tabling of the said report in Parliament today. It will be tabled as a ministry paper from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs for all Jamaicans to have access to read and to discuss. The government of Jamaica, led by Prime Minister Holness, is committed to pursuing the reform of our constitution, beginning with the abolition of the monarchy as Jamaica's head of state.
That was the voice of Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahou-Fort. Now in the news, still in the news, Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz, is under fire this afternoon after comments made during a radio interview where Minister Vaz revealed that he disclosed information retrieved from the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, about Mark Golding. Now, the PNP Deputy General Secretary and Spokesperson for Information and Public Communication, Nikisha Burchell, is demanding that Minister with responsibility for information and digital transformation, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, urgently addresses this concerning breach. Burchell adds that the minister's immediate response is needed to let the public know what her ministry plans to do in rectifying the alleged grave privacy breach.
Calling on the Prime Minister to clarify for Jamaicans the actions that he will take against Minister Vaz for his continuous disregard for the privacy and legal protections owed to every Jamaican citizen. The citizens of Jamaica deserve a clear and transparent explanation of how such sensitive information could even be accessed much less disclosed by a government minister. This breach does not merely undermine public trust in the government's ability to manage and protect private information. It profoundly shakes the confidence of our citizens in the NIDS process and our overall data management systems moving forward.
Now, the opposition leader's comment on having, quote, 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard, end quote, was deemed unacceptable for leadership. It has also sparked conversations all over. Stakeholders weighed in on the matter to analyze Mark Golding's comments. Speaking on Lead Story yesterday, attorney-at-law Dr. Marcus Goff and political commentator Sondre Roden shared their thoughts on the matter.
That the Jamaican people would have to determine whether or not they think that by virtue of having another nationality or citizenship that you are unable to properly serve or to dedicate yourself to the service of Jamaica, you know. So I think from my own perspective, I wouldn't say that automatically by virtue of having more than one passport, you are unable to be trusted to serve. I don't think I've seen the evidence to show that persons who fall in that category have some sort of disability or are incapable of serving in public office here. And so I would need to really, I think, from my own perspective, you know, see some proof of that would lead me to want to exclude persons in that category from being able to serve.
I think they definitely will have trouble with that. You know why I have to say that to you point blank, George, is because my grandmother called me and asked me, what is this all about? Just to get clarity, because she was a bit questioning like what is really happening, because she couldn't understand because the issue seemed so confounded. And, you know, my position on it has always been, if that was always the case, a lot of people knew who would have known of his heritage, but because of his position of opposition leader and because of where he is going to vie to go at the next general elections, that, of course, presents question marks.
As another Labor Day approaches, various projects are set for execution, including the government's focus on accessibility this year. The Forestry Department, however, will be planting seedlings all over the island. Speaking on Sunrise this morning, the department's Public Relations and Communications Officer, Nashiji Gay Elliott, says anyone can participate in this activity.
Usually, if you have a major project like that, you would have already identified your location. So if you're leading a project, you identify your location. As an individual, when you come to collect your 10 trees, you're usually planting it in your community or at your home, somewhere that you are familiar with.
Okay, so so you can choose to plant these trees anyway. So it's not like you're planting a forest, you're planting trees.
You're not planting a forest, but you are contributing to forest cover. Yes.
I like the way you've explained that. All right.
So persons can come to any of our 3 nurseries. The Constant Spring Nursery, that's 173 Constant Spring Road, that's just beside the tax office. Correct.
From
that's our head office nursery, correct. And there's also the Monique Nursery in St. Anne, which is just beside the JDF camp. Yes. And there's also the Williamsfield Nursery in Manchester, which is off the roundabout. Very accessible location.
And is there a process to doing this, or I can literally just walk in and say, that tree, that tree, that tree, this tree, that tree?
Yes, you literally walk in and you get your 10 trees. You tell us what trees that you like among your 10, and then we just hand it to you. You don't need to pay unless you want extra trees that are not available for free.
CVM News at Noon returns after this break.
I am deaf. You know what? Never change.
Ward off deaf. Obey the road code.
A message from the Road Safety Unit in the Island Traffic Authority. Teachers, looking for a loan? Look no further. At Chris and Charles, you can borrow up to $2 million without a guarantor. We understand the difference your job makes, so here's a little extra support just for you. We know the best teachers teach from the heart, and at Chris and Charles, we're here to help you succeed. Give us a call at 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028 for loan options. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
What do these people know that you don't know? They understand how listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange can improve the profitability of their company. They know the potential for increasing the company's capital, the governance requirements, the tax responsibilities, the ownership implications, and the procedures for listing. They have the knowledge to make an informed decision on whether or not to go public. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, you can't act. Begin a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange to gain the information you need to make a decision.
I'm Stafford Burrows.
I'm Marilyn Burrows.
My name is Hugh Graham.
I'm John Mafood.
My name is Derek Cottrell, and we are listed on the Jamaica Junior Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. It's now time for our discussion segment where Prime Minister Andrew Holness had announced several changes to his administration effective today, May 21, 2024. In a statement Monday, that's yesterday, the Prime Minister said the changes aim to enhance the administration's efficiency and effectiveness. Joining us now on CVM News at Noon to discuss these changes is social commentator, he's also a policy analyst, Sondre Roden, and political analyst, Dr. Nadine Spence. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation.
All right, so I must ask, I always start with the ladies first. So, Dr. Nadine Spence, what do you think of the latest, or what do you make, rather, of the latest cabinet changes?
I didn't hear the last part, so I hope you're hearing me.
Okay. All right, let me just ask again. What do you make of the changes, the recent changes to the cabinet?
I think it says clearly that the government is focusing on its communication agenda, that if just before and after the local government election, a lot of us analysts have said the JLP did not do a good job. The JLP government did not do a good job of communicating, and that the PNP was much more effective at the communications agenda than they were, and that the former Minister of Information was not well liked, and that he didn't transition well from being the JLP's communication guru to being the government's communication point person. So I think that clearly resonated with the PM, and he has made some strategic changes around communication, which tells you that the government is going to be beefing up its communications agenda, and the choice of minister tells you as well that it wants to present a new face in terms of what it communicates and how it communicates.
Well, Sondre, I've heard a bit of what you've said yesterday on our program, but among the notable reassignments, we know that Mr. Morgan, Robert Morgan, now moves to the Ministry of Works. What are your thoughts on that decision?
Well, it was an empty portfolio to begin with. And, since former Minister, Mr. Warmington, have left that portfolio, there was a vacancy that was there. I think moving Minister Morgan to Works, the question has always been for a lot of analysts, where do you move the minister to after taking him out of information, which is, of course, his area of expertise. But moving him to Works gives him a new portfolio. He's young. vibrant, has a lot of energy. He also has a lot of focus to give in his constituency now after local government. It's a good area for him to work in, to grow as a minister and to do various things that could shift up what he would have done before. Now it's more hands-on, having to do with road works, etc., the different types of works that we have to do in government. I think it's a fair enough move.
Is it a lateral move? Is it a promotion?
I don't know if I can speak on whether or not it is a promotion, but I think it is another way, just like, the reshuffling of any cabinet, another way for a minister to learn a different area of government and to give service in that area.
I know I always do this, but I have to take a quick break. So just hold your thoughts. We'll be right back.
And live life to the fullest with HIV. This time signal is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The time is
12:15.
Welcome back to CVM News at Noon. We just chopped the conversation to go to the break. So we have joining us social commentator Sondre Roden and Dr. Nadine Spence. She is a political analyst and commentator. So back to that conversation, Mr. Roden. So sorry for that break.
All right, yeah, as I'm saying, I can't speak about whether or not it's a promotion because he was a minister. As a matter of fact, I think information minister would give him, more coverage as a minister. Most ministers like coverage because that helps them with their favorability. But Dr. Spence said it, a lot of people did not find Minister Morgan as favorable. And maybe he can take this new role and add his own flair to it. And let's see how this new assignment works for him.
That's interesting because the next thing is, what are some of the key issues? We want to look at some of the key issues now facing the Ministry of Works, vacated by Mr. Warmington, and how well equipped is Mr. Morgan to address those issues? That's you, Dr. Spence. You can jump in on this one, please.
Well, the chief issue in the Works Ministry, we heard some of them today as it relates to NSWMA coming out, the contractors coming out to say that they weren't being treated fairly by the NSWMA. So as soon as he steps into the portfolio, the ministry or the responsibility that he carries, not so much a ministry because it is a ministry operating out of MECJC, which is a super ministry led by the PM, that part of what he has to deal with has to do with the concerns about those contractors and their relationship with the subcontractors and their relationship with the Chinese contractor. That's one, and I think that has to do with conflict resolution and some long-standing issues that have not yet been substantially addressed by the NSWMA if we are to believe the subcontractors. That's one. The other thing is the STAR, is the STAR program. What is the name of the program again?
Spark program.
Spark? Not a star, a spark.
Program. The Spark program, which is said to be the biggest road improvement program in the history of Jamaica's independent Jamaica. So I imagine that is going to take a lot of expert maneuvering with the political system and the bureaucracy, because we hear so often conversations about how difficult it is to get work done in government because of
bureaucracy,
the restrictions on how the government arranges, how the state arranges. I'm trying to find the word. My brain left me just now.
Right.
It's whether or not he will successfully navigate the bureaucracy. To be honest, the procurement processes is what I'm looking for. We hear how difficult that is, and the government is banking a lot of its return to power as government on that program and on meeting people's at the community level as it relates to the roads and the quality of the roads. So those two, I think, are top of the agenda.
Well, Sondre, could these changes indicate that the government is preparing for an upcoming election, and would these changes be adequate?
You know, I don't think these changes really indicate that the government is, gearing up for elections, because to be honest, we are already in election season, seeing that it's 2024, next year is 2025. The Prime Minister can call it anytime between now and next year. So